Hello guys and welcome to a new video. In this video I will be showing you a fully monochromatic themed inventory. All these skins are in factory new condition and I will include prices from Steam. Starting off with the pistols, the CZ Treadplate for 6.5 euros, and the alternative you can use is the CZ Tuxedo for 1 euro. Next up, the Desert Eagle Urban Pad for 22 euros. The lower the wear, the less white spots it has, and it also looks pretty cool. The alternative for this deagle would be the Deagle Hypnotic for 115 euros. The Hypnotic deagle fits way better for this team in my opinion, but it's also way more expensive. Next up, the Dual Beretta Stained for 0.14 euros, and the alternative would be the Dual Beretta Panther for 3 euros. Next up, the 5.7 Anodized Gunmetal for 9.5 euros. You can also use the 5.7 Kami for 2 euros. It also has a really nice pattern. If you know, you know. Next up, the Glock Catacombs for 1 euro. And the alternative would be the Glock Ironwork for 1.3 euros. But the Catacombs fits way better in my opinion. Next up, the P2000 Pathfinder for 22 euros. You can also use the P2000 Silver for 50 euros, which in my opinion looks way better. Next up, the P250 Cartel for 16 euros. And the alternative for this one would be the P250 Steel Disruption for 2.5 euros. Next up, the Revolver Reboot for 3 euros. This one does not have an alternative, but let's be honest, nobody uses the revolver. Next up, the Tech 9 Urban Pad for 0.12 euros. And the alternative for this one would be the Tech 9 Hades for 25 euros, which in Ballast card looks very unique. Next up, the USP-S Stainless for 26 euros. And the alternative you can use for this one is the USP-S Darkwater for 90 euros, but the stainless looks way cleaner in my opinion. That's it for the pistols. Now I will be showing you all rifles. Starting off with the AK-47 Black Lemonade for 190 euros. You can buy anywhere of this skin because they pretty much all look the same. You can also put some really nice stickers on the Black Lemonade. And the alternative you can get is the Elite build for 6.5 euros. Next up, the AUG Wings for 25 euros. Same thing, you can buy anywhere you want because this skin looks the same in all wears. And it also has only factory new and minimal wear. The alternative for this one would be the AUG Torque for 12 euros. Next up, the AUG Graphite for 160 euros. Although it's expensive, this AUG fits the best for this inventory. You can also use the AUG Elite build as an alternative for 40 euros. Next up, the FAMAS Doom Kitty for 5.5 euros. This skin only goes as low as field tested and looks the same in all wears. And the alternative for this one would be the FAMAS Jin for 12 euros. Next up, the G3 SG1 Ventilator for 0.25 euros. Even though you should get this skin to have a fully themed inventory, don't buy it in game. Seriously, nobody likes this. Next up, the Galil Tuxedo for 1.5 euros. And the lower the wear this one has, the more black it has to it. It looks way better in Ballast card in my opinion. Also, the alternative would be the Galil Shattered for 23 euros. Next up, the M4A1S Basilisk for 15 euros. Same as the Galil, the lower the wear, the darker it looks. And the alternative would be the M4A1S Darkwater for 90 euros. Next up, the M4A4 Urban Pad for 3 euros. With this one, the lower the wear, the less white it has. It's like the black consumes the skin. Next up, the SCAR 20 Carbon Fiber for 0.15 euros. The wear goes only as low as minimal wear and it has no alternative skin. Next up, the SG553 Damascus Steel for 1 euro. Now, the Damascus Steel fits very well with this theme and there is no alternative skin. And now the last rifle, SSG-08, or as more people like to call it, Auto Scout Darkwater for 3 euros. The alternative would be the SSG Detour for 22 euros. Now, moving on to the SMGs. Starting off with the Mach 10 Urban Pad for 21 euros. Same as all Urban Pad skins, the lower the wear, the more black it is. Also, the alternative would be the Mach 10 Silver for 0.13 euros. Next up, the MP7 Armor Core for 0.25 euros. And the alternative would be the MP7 Whiteout for 700 euros. But if you buy the Whiteout in factory new, it will be fully white. And it's also very expensive. Next up, the MP9 Dart for 1 euro. And the alternative would be the MP9 Dark Age for 120 euros. Next up, the P90 Ashwood for 0.13 euros. This one fits the theme very well and looks clean. The alternative would be the P90 Elite build for 1 euro. Next up, the PP Bison Carbon Fiber for 15 euros. This one comes only in factory new and minimal wear, and the alternative would be the PP Bison bamboo print for 5 euros. Next up, the UMP 45 Urban DD pad for 0.10 euros. The alternative would be the UMP 45 carbon fiber for 0.13 euros. That's it for the SMGs. Now I will be showing you the heavy guns. Starting off with the M249 contrast spray for 7.6 euros. Nobody uses this, but if you want a fully teamed inventory, you need to get it. Next up, the Mag 7 metallic DD pad for 0.14 euros. You can also get the Mag 7 silver, which looks way better in my opinion, as an alternative for 20 euros. Next up, the Negev prototype for 0.25 euros. And this one does not have an alternative. Next up, the Nova graphite for 9 euros. The alternative would be the Nova cage steel for 0.13 euros. Next up, the sawed-off bamboo shadow for 5 euros. And nobody uses the sawed-off, but you have to get this one if you want a fully teamed inventory. Next up and last in the heavy guns, the XM 1014 black tie for 2.4 euros. That's it for all the guns. Now for the moment you have all been waiting for. I will be showing you the gloves and knife combo for this inventory. You can pretty much choose any Damascus steel knife as it fits perfectly with this theme. The alternative would be stained knives or a cheaper option, the Urban Mass knives. In terms of gloves, I chose Bloodhound Char gloves for budget gloves and Moto Boom gloves as a more expensive option. You can also take the duct tape gloves if you like them. In my opinion, the best looking combo is Boom gloves combined with the M9 Damascus steel. But you can take any knife and it will fit well. If you are wondering where do I select all the skins, you can go to the link in the description. CSGO Stash has all the items and all wares with the prices listed. That's it for this video. If you enjoyed, consider subscribing and leaving a like. Thank you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.